The silent savior. The fluorescent lights hummed overhead as Olivia Martinez pushed her cleaning cart down the empty hallway of Blackwood Pharmaceuticals' executive floor. At 11:30 p.m., the building stood nearly deserted, just how she preferred it. The night shift meant fewer eyes watching her, fewer executives to dodge around as if she were invisible. After 3 years of cleaning these offices, she had perfected the art of silent efficiency. A crash from behind the heavy oak door of the CEO's office broke the stillness. Olivia hesitated, her hand hovering over the doorknob. Victor Blackwood's reputation preceded him, ruthless in business, feared by competitors and employees alike. The man who had built a pharmaceutical empire through sheer force of will and, if rumors were to be believed, not always ethical means. "Help!" The word slipped through the crack beneath the door, barely audible. Against her better judgment, Olivia pushed the door open. The scene before her froze her in place. Victor Blackwood, the titan of industry whose stern portrait dominated the lobby downstairs, lay sprawled across his modern glass desk. His normally immaculate appearance was disheveled, his breathing shallow and labored. "Mr. Blackwood?" Olivia ventured, stepping cautiously into the room. His eyes, clouded with pain, found hers. Recognition flickered across his face. "The night." "Janitor," he managed, each word a struggle. "Phone. No. Behind painting. Safe." Olivia followed his shaking gesture to an abstract canvas hanging behind his desk. Her hands trembled as she moved it aside to reveal a small biometric safe. Victor's breathing grew more ragged, his skin taking on a bluish tinge that Olivia recognized from her 2 years of nursing school, before her father's illness had drained their savings and forced her to abandon her education. "Your thumb," she said, returning to his side and gently lifting his hand. The weight of it surprised her, how quickly power could become helplessness. The safe clicked open to reveal a glass vial and a packaged syringe. Olivia's training took over as she prepared the injection with practiced movements, tapping the syringe to release air bubbles while keeping one eye on Victor's deteriorating condition. "This will hurt," she warned, swabbing his arm with an alcohol pad from the safe. The needle slid beneath his skin, delivering whatever antidote he had prepared for himself. "Who keeps poison antidotes ready? The kind of man who expects enemies," she answered her own question. Minutes passed like hours as she monitored his pulse, noting with relief when his breathing gradually steadied. Color slowly returned to his face, the crisis passing with agonizing slowness. "Why did you help me?" Victor finally asked, his voice rough but stronger. Olivia shrugged, suddenly aware of how vulnerable her position was. "It's what anyone would do." "No," he said, studying her with new intensity. "It isn't." Rain began to patter against the floor-to-ceiling windows of his office, casting moving shadows across the room. Victor struggled to sit up, and Olivia instinctively offered her support, feeling the expensive fabric of his suit beneath her fingers. "You've had medical training," he observed. "Nursing school. Couldn't finish." Victor nodded, seeming unsurprised by her terseness. "Eleanor," he said after a moment. "My sister. She wants control of Blackwood." Olivia had seen Eleanor Blackwood's picture in the company newsletters. Elegant, poised, with the same steely determination in her eyes as her brother. "You should call security." "The police." A bitter laugh escaped him. "The board is already half convinced I'm unfit to lead. A police investigation would only strengthen Eleanor's position." He straightened his tie with still unsteady hands. "Besides, she's too smart to leave evidence." Olivia backed away, reaching for her cart. "I should go. Forget what I saw." "You can't," Victor said, his voice regaining its authoritative edge. "The security cameras may be disabled, but Eleanor has eyes everywhere. By saving my life, you've made yourself a target." Fear clawed at Olivia's throat. "I have nothing to do with your family feud." "You do now." Victor's expression softened, seeing the panic in her eyes. "I protect what's mine, Miss Martinez." "Olivia Martinez." "Well, Ms. Martinez, I now owe you a debt, and I always pay my debts." He moved to a hidden panel in the wall, revealing a bank of security monitors. "You have family?" The question caught her off guard. "My mother. In Riverdale Assisted Living." Victor nodded, making a note on his phone. She'll be moved to a private facility with enhanced security by morning. As for you, he assessed her with the calculating gaze of a man accustomed to solving problems. How would you like to help me ensure that my sister's ambitions don't cost thousands of patients their lives? What do you mean? Blackwood's new cancer treatment. 3 days from FDA approval. Eleanor wants to sell it to a competitor who will bury it to protect their existing medication's market share. The words hit Olivia like a physical blow. Her father's face flashed before her, wasting away while they tried treatment after failed treatment. People need that drug. Yes, Victor agreed, his eyes never leaving hers. They do. Outside, the rain intensified, drumming against the windows like nature's own countdown clock. Olivia Martinez, invisible janitor, failed nursing student, sole caretaker for her ailing mother, found herself standing at a crossroads she never could have anticipated when she clocked in for her shift. "What would I have to do?" she asked, knowing she had already made her decision the moment he mentioned the cancer treatment. Victor Blackwood's smile was not warm, but it held respect, something she hadn't seen directed her way in a very long time. "First," he said, "we need to get somewhere safe. Then, Ms. Martinez, we're going to give my sister a surprise she'll never forget." Dangerous alliances. The safe house was nothing like Olivia had imagined. Instead of some dingy hideout, Victor had brought her to a sleek penthouse overlooking the city, its minimalist design speaking of wealth without ostentation. "My sister doesn't know about this place," Victor explained, pouring himself a glass of water with hands that still trembled slightly. "I purchased it through a shell company when our relationship first began to deteriorate." Olivia stood awkwardly by the floor-to-ceiling windows, her cleaning uniform out of place against the backdrop of Manhattan's glittering skyline. "How long have you been expecting her to try something like this?" "Eleanor has wanted control of Blackwood since our father passed 3 years ago." Victor settled into a chair, his normally commanding presence diminished by the poison still working its way through his system. "But attempting to kill me? That's new. The cancer drug must have pushed her over the edge." A tablet on the coffee table flickered with security footage from what Olivia recognized as her mother's new room, spacious and sunlit. A dramatic upgrade from the shared space at Riverdale. Her mother slept peacefully, unaware of how her daughter's life had changed in the span of hours. "Tell me about the treatment," Olivia said, turning away from the window. Victor's expression shifted, a rare passion breaking through his controlled demeanor. Eternal 7 represents a breakthrough in targeted therapy. In clinical trials, it's shown a 78% remission rate for pancreatic and late-stage lung cancers with minimal side effects, the same cancers that had taken her father. Olivia swallowed hard. "And your sister wants to suppress it?" "Eleanor has never had patience for the research side of pharmaceuticals," Victor said, bitterness edging his voice. "She's partnered with Roman Ivanov, my head of research. They've made a deal with Meridian Pharmaceuticals. Eternal 7 gets lost in regulatory problems, while they pocket millions. Dr. Ivanov?" Olivia had cleaned his office countless times, noting the family photos, the children's drawings pinned to his bulletin board. "He doesn't seem the type." Victor's laugh held no humor. "Everyone has their price, Ms. Martinez. Roman's was $10 million and a guaranteed research position at Meridian." He studied her. "Which raises the question, what's yours?" Olivia bristled. "I didn't save your life for money. Yet you need it." His observation wasn't cruel, merely factual. "Nursing school debts. Your mother's care." She crossed her arms. "I want what's best for the patients who need that drug." Something shifted in Victor's expression. Surprise, perhaps respect. "Then help me ensure they get it. Eleanor is hosting her annual charity gala tomorrow night. Every major player in the pharmaceutical industry will be there, including Meridian's CEO. You want me to go?" Olivia asked incredulously. Victor nodded. "As catering staff?" "With this." He opened a sleek case containing what looked like an ordinary pearl necklace. "It's a recording device. All you need to do is get close enough to Eleanor and Roman to capture their conversation." Olivia hesitated. "And if I'm caught?" "You won't be," Victor said with quiet confidence. You've perfected invisibility, remember? It's why I noticed you, because you're so good at not being noticed. The realization that Victor Blackwood had seen her, truly seen her, when she had worked so hard to blend into the background, was strangely unsettling. One night, he continued, then you and your mother can start fresh anywhere you want. New identities, financial security, and the treatment? Olivia interrupted. I want your guarantee that it will be accessible. Not just for the wealthy. Victor's expression hardened. You're in no position to make demands. Neither are you, she countered. Not without proof of what Eleanor's planning. Their eyes locked in silent battle until, unexpectedly, Victor laughed. The crystal champagne flute in Olivia's hand nearly slipped as rage coursed through her. Her father's face flashed in her memory, gaunt, yellow with jaundice, begging for relief that never came. Perfect, Victor murmured in her ear. Now find Martin Schultz. Balding, red bow tie by the east windows. As Olivia turned, a heavy hand clamped onto her shoulder. You! The security guard's eyes narrowed in suspicion. Let me see your catering credentials. Olivia's heart hammered against her ribs. She had no credentials. Victor had arranged her entry through a service entrance. Is there a problem? Eleanor Blackwood's voice cut through Olivia's panic as the CEO's sister approached, her smile pleasant, but her eyes sharp with recognition. This woman doesn't work for the catering company. She works for my brother, the Saub. Final prescription! I've never seen this woman before! The security guard protested, his grip tightening on Olivia's arm. Eleanor's smile remained fixed, her eyes cold. Because my brother keeps her existence quiet. Isn't that right, Ms. Martinez? Olivia's mind raced. How did Eleanor know her name? You seem surprised, Eleanor continued, dismissing the guard with a flick of her wrist. Did Victor tell you I wouldn't recognize the night janitor who's been working at Blackwood for 3 years? I make it my business to know everyone in our employ, unlike my brother, who only notices people when they become useful to him. Through her earpiece, Olivia heard Victor curse softly. Stay calm, I'm sending help. Eleanor gestured toward a private alcove off the main ballroom. Let's chat, shall we? Away from prying ears. With little choice, Olivia followed, acutely aware of the pearl necklace recording every word. In the secluded space, Eleanor's facade dropped, her expression hardening to match the steel in her voice. Where is my brother? I don't know what you're talking about, Olivia replied, fighting to keep her voice steady. Eleanor laughed, the sound brittle. Let's not play games. Victor survived the poisoning and somehow you're involved. A janitor. With nursing training. Yes, I've reviewed your personnel file. The question is, why would he trust you instead of his security team? Before Olivia could respond, a commotion erupted in the main ballroom. Through the archway, she glimpsed Martin Schultz from Meridian Pharmaceuticals engaged in a heated argument with a man whose face she couldn't see. Eleanor's attention wavered, giving Olivia a moment to press the emergency signal on her bracelet. 3 quick taps as Victor had instructed. You should know, Olivia said, finding courage in desperation, that everything you and Dr. Ivanov discussed has been recorded. Your deal with Meridian, your plan to bury a treatment that could save thousands. Save thousands? Eleanor interrupted, genuine surprise crossing her face. Is that what Victor told you? That he wants to save people? She shook her head. My brother plans to price Eternal 7 at $300,000 per treatment cycle. The insurance companies won't cover it. The government won't subsidize it. The only people getting saved will be the wealthy few who can afford it. Olivia faltered, doubt creeping in. He promised accessibility. Of course he did, Eleanor said, almost gently. Victor is excellent at saying whatever will get him what he wants. The disturbance in the ballroom grew louder. Eleanor glanced toward it, frowning. That sounds like... Hello, sister. Victor Blackwood stood in the archway, his tall figure commanding attention despite his still pale complexion. You look surprised to see me alive. Eleanor recovered quickly, her shock transforming into a brittle smile. "Victor, what a dramatic entrance! I'd heard you were indisposed." Clearly. His gaze moved to Olivia. "Ms. Martinez, I believe you've gathered what we needed?" Eleanor's eyes narrowed as understanding dawned. "The necklace. You're recording this." "Every word," Victor confirmed, stepping fully into the alcove, "including your confession to attempted murder and corporate sabotage." "You're one to talk about sabotage," Eleanor countered, her composure cracking. "You've buried every attempt I've made to make our medications more accessible. Father never should have left you in charge." Victor's expression remained impassive. "This isn't about accessibility. It's about control." "It's about both," Eleanor snapped. "You'd rather let people die than compromise your profit margins." Olivia looked between the siblings, their shared history of resentment and rivalry playing out before her. "What about the patients?" she asked quietly, drawing both their attention. "While you two fight over who gets to run the company, people are dying from cancers that Eternal Seven could treat." Her words hung in the air, momentarily silencing the Blackwood siblings. Outside in the ballroom, security was escorting Martin Schultz from the premises, the Meridian CEO protesting loudly as Dr. Ivanov watched, ashen-faced. "You promised the treatment would be accessible," Olivia continued, addressing Victor directly. "Was that a lie?" Victor met her gaze, and for a moment, Olivia glimpsed uncertainty in his eyes. "Business decisions are complicated." "My father died of pancreatic cancer," Olivia cut in. "We spent everything we had on treatments that didn't work." "He suffered for months before the end. How many more families have to go through that because life-saving medications are priced beyond reach?" A heavy silence fell. Eleanor studied Olivia with new interest, then looked at her brother. "She actually got to you, didn't she?" The great Victor Blackwood, moved by a janitor's story. Victor ignored her, his focus remaining on Olivia. Something shifted in his expression, a decision being made. "What if there was a way to balance shareholder expectations with patient needs?" "There is," Olivia insisted. "Patient assistance programs, tiered pricing structures, licensing agreements with generic manufacturers for developing markets. Other companies have done it." "At the expense of innovation," Eleanor interjected. "Research isn't cheap." "Neither is human life," Olivia countered. Victor's phone buzzed. He glanced at it, then back at his sister. "The board has called an emergency meeting for tomorrow morning. They've received evidence of your conspiracy with Meridian." Eleanor's shoulders slumped, the fight visibly leaving her. "What now, then? Prison?" "That depends," Victor said, surprising both women. "On whether you're willing to work with me instead of against me." Brothers and sisters, the Blackwood Pharmaceuticals boardroom fell silent as Victor finished presenting his proposal. 14 pairs of eyes moved between the siblings seated side by side at the head of the table, a sight none of them had witnessed in years. "Let me get this straight," said Howard Keller, the oldest board member. "You want to restructure our entire pricing model for Eternal Seven after we've already set shareholder expectations?" "I want to ensure the treatment reaches those who need it," Victor replied, his voice steady, "while still delivering reasonable returns." Eleanor leaned forward. "The tiered pricing structure allows us to maintain premium rates for markets that can bear them, while offering significantly reduced costs in others." "And the patient assistance program?" asked Diane Wu, frowning at the projections on her tablet. "Will be funded by allocating 12% of Eternal Seven's revenue," Victor explained. "Ms. Martinez has provided valuable insights from her healthcare background on how to structure it effectively." Olivia, seated at the far end of the table, felt conspicuous in her borrowed suit. The board members had been eyeing her curiously since Victor introduced her as a healthcare consultant. Only Victor, Eleanor, and Dr. Ivanov knew her true role in the events that had led to this moment. "This is unprecedented," Keller muttered. And what happens to the Meridian situation? Victor's smile was cold. Martin Schultz has tendered his resignation this morning. It seems attempted corporate espionage doesn't sit well with Meridian's board. And Dr. Ivanov? Diane Wu asked pointedly. Eleanor answered before her brother could. Roman made a serious error in judgment, but his research contributions to Eternal 7 are undeniable. We're proposing a probationary period under joint supervision. Dr. Ivanov, seated across from Olivia, kept his eyes fixed on the table, shame evident in his hunched posture. The boardroom doors opened, and an assistant entered with a stack of documents. "The FDA approval just came through," she announced, placing the paperwork before Victor. "Eternal 7 is officially cleared for market." A murmur of excitement rippled through the room. Victor allowed himself a small smile before returning to business. "Then we vote now. The original pricing strategy or our new proposal?" The vote wasn't unanimous, but it was decisive. Victor and Eleanor's joint plan passed with 10 votes in favor. As the board members filed out, Victor approached Olivia. "That's twice you've saved something important to me," he said quietly. "First my life, now my legacy." Eleanor joined them, her expression complex, a mixture of resignation and reluctant respect. "I still think you're too soft," she told her brother. "But at least this way the treatment reaches people who need it." "A compromise neither of us would have reached alone," Victor acknowledged. Perhaps Father knew what he was doing after all. Eleanor's laugh held a hint of genuine warmth. "Don't push it." She turned to Olivia. "You're either extremely brave or extremely foolish. Either way, Blackwood could use someone like you." After she walked away, Victor studied Olivia thoughtfully. "She's right, you know. Your nursing background, combined with your unique perspective on our industry. There's a position in the patient assistance program if you want it." Olivia hesitated. "What about our deal? New identities? A fresh start?" "Still available," Victor assured her. "But consider this an alternative. Your mother would receive the best care, you could finish your nursing degree with the company's support, and you'd be ensuring Eternal 7 reaches those who need it most." Outside the boardroom windows, the city stretched before her, the same view she used to glimpse while emptying trash bins after hours. Now she was being offered a seat at the table. "Why me?" she asked. "There must be hundreds of more qualified people." Victor's expression softened almost imperceptibly. "Because you saw a man who needed help. Not a CEO, not a Blackwood, just someone dying. And you chose to save him, knowing there might be consequences. That's exactly the perspective this company needs." As they walked toward the elevator, Olivia noticed Dr. Ivanov waiting nervously by the reception desk. "Ms. Martinez," he called, approaching with hesitant steps. "I wanted to apologize. What I almost did would have cost lives," she finished for him, "including my mother's. She was diagnosed last month with the same cancer that took my father." Ivanov paled. "I didn't know." "Few people bother to know the janitor's story," she replied without bitterness. "But now you have a chance to make it right. For all the patients," the researcher nodded solemnly. "I intend to." In the elevator descending to the lobby, Olivia made her decision. "I'll take the job," she told Victor, "on one condition." Victor raised an eyebrow. "You're still making conditions?" "Just one." Olivia met his gaze squarely. "I want to be involved in the first patient treatments, to see it working." For the first time since she'd known him, Victor Blackwood's smile reached his eyes. "I think that can be arranged." New prescriptions. 6 months later, Olivia stood in the observation room of Blackwood's Clinical Treatment Center, watching as the first regular patient cohort received Eternal 7. Among them was her mother, Maria Martinez, her thin arm connected to an IV delivering the medication that might save her life. "Nervous?" Eleanor asked, joining Olivia at the window. "Terrified," Olivia admitted, "but hopeful." The past months had transformed both Blackwood Pharmaceuticals and the people within it. Victor and Eleanor had reached an uneasy truce, channeling their competitive natures into expanding the company's accessible medication initiative. Dr. Ivanov, working under their joint supervision, had thrown himself into refining Eternal Seven's delivery system to reduce production costs. And Olivia had found her place heading the Patient Advocacy Division, a new department created specifically for her, bridging the gap between Blackwood's corporate interests and patient needs. "The latest results are promising," Eleanor said, handing Olivia a tablet displaying clinical outcomes. 82% remission rate in the expanded trials. Olivia scrolled through the data, the numbers representing thousands of lives potentially saved. "And the generic licensing for developing countries?" "Signed yesterday," Eleanor confirmed. "Victor's in India now, finalizing the manufacturing partnerships." The door opened and Dr. Ivanov entered, carrying additional charts. "Ms. Martinez, the first round of biomarkers is coming back for your mother's group. Early indicators are positive." Relief washed over Olivia. "Thank you, Roman." The researcher nodded, his demeanor more humble than during his days as Victor's lieutenant. "We're monitoring closely. If all continues as expected, we should see tumor reduction within 3 weeks." After he left, Eleanor studied Olivia with curious eyes. "You know, when you saved Victor that night, you changed more than just his life." "I'm beginning to see that," Olivia acknowledged. The sound of a video call interrupted them. Victor's face appeared on the wall screen, the chaotic sounds of Mumbai audible in the background. "How's it going there?" Eleanor asked, shifting seamlessly into business mode. "The facility is impressive," Victor replied. "Production can begin next month, which puts us ahead of schedule for the Southeast Asian distribution." His eyes found Olivia. "How are our first patients doing?" "Tolerating the treatment well," she reported. "Including my mother." Victor nodded, satisfaction evident in his expression. "I'm looking at the numbers from the Patient Assistance Program. Over 5,000 applications approved in the first month alone. 5,000 people who wouldn't have had access under the original pricing model. 5,000 families spared the agonizing choices Olivia's family had faced during her father's illness. The board is pleased," Eleanor added. "Even Howard Keller admitted the positive press has boosted our stock price beyond projections." "Speaking of press," Victor said, "Time magazine is doing a feature on the industry shift toward accessibility. They want interviews with both of you." Olivia blinked in surprise. "Me? The janitor who saved a CEO and changed a company makes for a compelling narrative," Victor noted dryly. "Though they don't know the full story, of course." The full story remained known only to the four of them: the poisoning, the recording, the confrontation at the gala. To the public, the Blackwood siblings had simply had a change of heart about their business model, inspired partly by a former janitor with personal experience of cancer's impact. "I should check on my mother," Olivia said, excusing herself. In Maria Martinez's private treatment room, Olivia adjusted her mother's blanket as the older woman dozed, the gentle beep of monitors tracking her vital signs. "Ms. Martinez." She turned to find Victor standing in the doorway, looking slightly jet-lagged but impeccably dressed as always. "I thought you were in Mumbai." "Returned early," he said, entering the room. "I wanted to be here for the first full patient cohort." He studied Maria's sleeping form. "How is she responding?" "Well, so far," Olivia said. "The doctors are cautiously optimistic." Victor nodded, then seemed to struggle with what to say next, an unusual occurrence for a man typically so certain of himself. "I never properly thanked you," he finally said. "For saving my life that night." Olivia smiled slightly. "You gave me a job, arranged the best care for my mother, and transformed your company's approach to medication access. I'd say that counts as thanks." "Those were business decisions," Victor countered. "Beneficial ones, as it turns out. But my gratitude is personal." The admission surprised her. In the months they'd worked together, Victor had maintained professional boundaries, their relationship defined by mutual respect rather than emotional connection. "Then you're welcome," she said simply. A nurse entered to check Maria's vitals, and they stepped into the hallway. "There's something else," Victor said, handing her a folder. The final papers for your mother's treatment trust. Regardless of what happens with Blackwood or your position there, her care is guaranteed for life. Olivia accepted the folder, throat tight with emotion. Thank you. Victor hesitated, then added, My father died of liver cancer when I was 26. Eleanor was 24. We watched him suffer for 18 months before the end. I didn't know, Olivia said softly. It's not something I discuss. Victor looked through the window at the treatment room, where patients received the medication that might have saved his father. He made me promise to build Blackwood into something meaningful. Somewhere along the way, I forgot what that meaning was supposed to be. And now? Victor's expression softened in a way Olivia had rarely seen. Now I'm remembering. As they walked toward the hospital wing exit, Eleanor appeared around the corner with Dr. Ivanov, both carrying tablets filled with new data. The preliminary results from the second cohort just came in, Eleanor announced. Even better response rates than the first. Olivia looked at the three people before her, the ruthless CEO who had found his conscience, the ambitious sister who had found a better path, the brilliant researcher who had rediscovered his purpose and felt an unexpected sense of belonging. 6 months ago, she had been invisible to them, just another uniformed worker blending into the background of their corporate empire. Now they stood together, united by a shared mission that had grown from an act of mercy on a stormy night when a janitor had chosen to save a dying man. So, Victor asked, his customary authority returning to his voice. What's our next step? Olivia smiled, thinking of the patients behind them and the millions more waiting for hope around the world. We keep going, she said. We have a lot more lives to save.